Deanna, do you remember when we did our first cat trap project? Miss Dot.
Yeah. Miss Dot.
We did not know what we were gonna do, but we went out there and got it done.
We did. Yep. We tackled,
12
cats
Yeah.
out there. Yep. We were learning. We learned as we went.
And we got the 2 cats in the 1 trap,
Yeah.
and we didn't know what to do. But we figured it out, didn't we? We used sticks, so we got them separated. It's so crazy to think back to the beginning of how we started this.
There was no class to learn this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we learned by just doing, just getting out there and doing, and
it wasn't even that long ago. If we
No.
think about it, it was
actually
2023.
Yeah, it was right 3 years ago, like right now.
Yeah.
And then that little girl that she was 21 and she reached out to us, and I remember you trying to trip the trap with a stick to get the
cat
kids
wasn't
because the
going.
kids were so small.
They wouldn't
do the trap, and so
Yeah.
she's like sitting there in the corner with her stick, tripping the plate.
We didn't even have our own traps. I borrowed one
No.
from the shelter that day.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for Michelle wanting to gather a group of people that knew specific skills and could come together and do something no one had ever done.
Right.
It was amazing to see the community because our first trap next was Spring Hill,
Yeah.
and I think you had 1 trap. You bought one yourself, and we
Yes.
needed, gosh, how many cats were over there?
19.
We
Yeah.
needed multiple traps, and so we put it online, and I was shocked amount of people that wanted to support, and you just had traps coming in.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was pretty amazing.
Because you always hear people don't care about cats, and you
Right,
always hear about there's not enough resources, and so I just feel like we kind of filled that in.
Especially the cats that hide in the shadows, that aren't the ones that are snuggly and sweet, the ones that nobody can really touch, they don't know what to do with, so they just ignore them.
They ignore them and they take their babies and
And then let them continue
distribute
to.
That's
them, and
somebody
it just
else's cat.
happens.
Yeah, it's not my cat. It's not my
I'm
cat. It's just
helping.
yeah.
But here's a little can of food.
Yeah, I'm just feeding it. I've just been feeding
Yeah,
it.
because then it just goes on forever and ever.
And what amazes me is how many properties don't just have 1 or 2 cats. This is,
Yeah.
10 to 15 to 20 to 30. I mean, our biggest one was 60.
Yeah.
And that's 2 properties now in our county that have had 60 breeding cats on the
Yes.
property.
And we've also learned if somebody reaches out and they say they're feeding 5 cats, they're likely feeding 10 to 15 cats.
They just don't. Yeah, they
And
just don't know.
I imagine how overwhelming it must feel before they find out that there are some people that will help.
Yeah.
I mean, because
There's always enough rescues or resources for dogs, but not enough for cats.
And when I speak to the caregivers, that initial conversation does usually focus on some sort of shame because they know that they've created a problem. They don't know that there's resources out there, and they are overwhelmed, just like you said. And then once we start talking about our process and how we're going to be there, we're going to handhold them through it. We're going to finish their project. We won't leave them in the lurch. The relief from the caregivers out there. There's just so much gratitude once we get out there.
For sure. And what started out as us helping cats really has turned into, we've realized that cats are just a symptom often of a much bigger issue, especially when it comes to seniors in our community or lower income community members. The cats wind up just being part of a bigger issue.
I agree. I've seen some of these caregivers that we get out there, and they seem, for lack of a better word, kind of broken, kind of at the end of the rope. And as we get out there and start trapping the cats, you see a little bit of that brokenness fall off. And then once we start bringing the cats back a little bit more, and then when we check in with them 3 months later, 6 months later, and their colony is stabilized and there's no more fighting, breeding, wounds, sickness, the people just completely change.
They do
you know?
change.
No, this isn't just changing the lives of the cats. It changes the lives of the people too.
Absolutely.
You remember
Absolutely.
Wayne when he lost his wife, and his wife had dementia, and those cats were her everything. So we had to come at a different time because she didn't know what was going on. And one day you called him, and he said, "I'm sorry, I'm not home. My wife passed away last week." And he said, "You guys have been such a blessing because that's all she had, and now that's all that I have left of her."
Yes.
And when we first arrived, there were so many sick cats. I mean, they had snot coming out of their nose, their eyes were messed up, and for him to now have a healthy colony to remember his wife and honor his wife was so warming to me, and I think to all of us. That's really what we're about. We're about the cats, and we're about their health and bettering their lives, but the people, it's the people.
That reminds me of Kathy, because that's kind of the same situation. We got called in by her daughter because her dad had passed away, and that was his pride and joy, was feeding the cats in the garage, remember, every night, and there were just swarms of cats that would come up from the pictures that they showed us. And what was even cooler about it is after we got done with the project, they were able to finally hold a memorial for Steve and all that, and they put it in his obituaries in lieu of flowers or anything. Donate to Caroline Street Cats, because the cats were so near and dear to his heart. So I think that is pretty awesome.
And it's beautiful how these people that had their lives changed, they are devoted to changing others' lives. So they tell people that they know with these issues that there is help out there, and it's amazing to watch that like snowball. And
Absolutely.
that is not something that needs to be a problem or needs to be overwhelmed. Like, there are resources, and you can live happy and have your cats.
Yeah, because there isn't very, very good options for people that do have 10, 20 cats out on their property. When they have that many cats, if you try to go and trap your own cats and take them to the clinic, it really comes down to, how do I trap a cat? How do I take care of a cat in a trap? I don't have any appointments. These appointments are unaffordable. We're talking $2, $3, sometimes even $1,000 just to get one
Or
cat
months
fixed.
out.
Or months out.
Months
and so
out.
Or you're doing it 1 or 2 cats at a time.
Exactly.
And
so many kittens are being
by
born.
the time you're on cat 5 or 6, you're having more litters, more cats are
Absolutely.
pregnant. It's never something you can catch up with.
That's what I think is so great about what we do. We do the project-based TNR. We go into an area, and we know with the amount of appointments that we have, we can go in and do a whole entire colony and change that life that week.
Yeah, and that's what I remember from what we used to do. Like, we used to run around town with 1 or 2 appointments every single day.
Yes.
And it was smaller colonies, but once we started realizing that, getting requests from the bigger ones, that was the only way we could actually accomplish anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Doing 1 or 2 at a time was, that meant more kittens were being born by the time we could get out and get the next ones. It's really been a game changer being able to have big clinics
Absolutely.
where we can go in and help your whole colony at once.
Absolutely.
And not to mention how hard it is to return half of the colony and
Yes.
go back and trap the ones that are already fixed.
It's like, who's ear tipped? Who's
And,
ear?
and which cats do you pick to
Yes, to take
to
down.
focus on trapping?
There were times where we were just going just for the females because those were the priority.
And that
but-
was so hard for me because I'm very staunch on I will not let a cat out of a trap.
Yes.
Right.
So
It would be that call.
Being able to-
Michelle, this is a male, and I'm like, okay, and I will not let it out. I'm like,
it's gonna happen.
okay. The boys
So-
are important too.
They are. So being able to fund a 30 cat trap day is crucial in what we do and how we do what we do. I think
It makes the biggest impact.
It really
for
does.
us, it makes the biggest impact for the families and for the cats.
Yes.
Yeah, because who do you call? You call animal control,
Right.
and they say, I'm sorry, we don't trap cats.
Right.
The county has traps available.
Absolutely.
But once you go check one trap out for your 30 cats, all you're doing all day is trapping one, bringing it to be euthanized, and we realized that
That is soul-sucking.
yes, and euthanizing cats doesn't fix the problem.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
It doesn't.
More cats just move in.
And I hate to say it though, you reach out to a rescue, they may help with your kittens, but what about the mom?
If
Right.
they're young enough.
The
Yeah.
mom, and I think that's what's so hurtful. As a mom myself, we never get nurtured enough.
Right.
And for so many people just to take the kittens because
And never
they're
think about the
cute, they're
mom.
funny, and
Right.
never think about the mom. We never leave a mom behind.
We don't.
No.
And spay and neuter literally is the only way to fix the crisis we're in our county. It's not rescuing, it's not saving dogs or cats, it's literally spaying and neutering everyone.
Fixing the problem where it starts.
So that no kittens have to be born outside, because that's a rough start to life. you
It's an
know?
awful way to live.
It's a very, I mean, the amount of sick kittens that we have seen on properties is, you know, I came in to Caroline Street Cats. These three ladies started Caroline Street Cats. I have only been here for about 18 months, but I've learned a lot. You guys have taught me so much. And I don't, you know, even being an animal lover and things beforehand, I had no idea the amount of suffering happening on properties. I just thought, wow, that person has a cat problem, and that's their problem, that's crazy. And I never thought about the obstacles and the hurdles that these people have to face with no money, and like we were talking about, no money, no appointments, don't know how to take care of a cat that you can't touch. And these people want to be helpful. They want to feed these cats. And then it just spirals completely out of control. And I just had no idea that there was this much suffering on properties at
And
all.
it's sometimes these cats are all these people have.
You're right.
How many lower income homebound seniors have we worked with that aren't driving anymore?
It's a big majority of what we do.
Yeah, we've
is
helped people that
seniors.
can't walk out of their houses because they have oxygen tanks
Yep.
attached,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But they make it a point every day to put that food out the back door, you know?
Because they can't stand to see them go hungry.
Yeah.
We've
And the
had
joy they
cheer
get
members-
when they
do.
watch them
They
come
love
up.
them.
They love
they
their
have,
cats.
They know every single cat. I mean, we've had Meals on Wheels reach out
We
to
have.
us.
Say I've been working with a senior.
Yeah.
And a big part is these people aren't bad people. They just don't know any better. A huge part of what we do is not going out and shaming people.
Absolutely.
It's not going out and judging people. We're going out and teaching them, hey, this is a better way. We all started somewhere.
You know
and we
what-
all,
We all
learn.
could be those people.
And what's so validating about that is having those people who were ashamed to reach out in the first place, and they had this shame, and then once we get in there and we help them and everything turns around for them calling us back a year later and saying, hey, another non-ear-tipped cat showed up and I don't want to start this all over again. They take ownership in it when before they hid from the problem.
Or they
you
go
know?
to a friend's house and they're
Yes.
like, hey, whose cat is
Yes.
this? And they're like,
Yes.
oh, I don't know, it just showed up.
Yes.
Then that's where I feel like we made an impact.
And I know that really works because as project manager, I talk to each and every single one of the caregivers before we start a project. And one of the first questions I ask is, how did you hear about Caroline Street Cats? And so many of them that they say, like, Dana was out there, Kim was out there, or, you know, Dana came out and helped a friend. Michelle is, you know, a friend of a friend. And we know that this is something that's important. So that's been a huge change that I've seen in educating.
Everybody likes to say that rabbits reproduce like crazy,
Oh my
but
gosh.
I think it's cats.
I don't.
cats.
No one understands the amount one female
Yeah.
mama cat that's not fixed can drop 4 to 5 litters a year,
And those could be 6
There was a
kittens
time
apiece.
that we actually, one was nursing still and was
Right.
pregnant.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm like, how, ma'am, you got 6
And
weeks.
she had been cared for inside with her kittens since her kittens were 2 weeks old. And when we brought her to have her spayed, she
It was a surprise,
was
yeah.
pregnant, shocked.
Yeah.
That was
When we got that
a
paperwork, we
shocking
were like,
moment.
So it's not hard for us to believe that people have cat problems. I mean, because cats are master survivors.
They're one
They-
of the most efficient animals on the planet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've never seen anything so wild. That I'm just like, ooh, we rolled up to a property and you could just hear screaming. And that's another thing, like the chaos if you don't have
Yes.
an altered
Yes.
property. The fighting, the screaming, the
spraying.
the spraying. Like it is battle of The exes, I guess. Because really.
It does. It becomes a health crisis too, because these cats are unvaccinated.
Yes.
They're unaltered.
Yes.
They had never been dewormed, so they're using.
And I think for the most part, most community members don't mind. I don't think we've really run into a situation where we've gone out and a community member minds too much that there are outside cats or their neighbors are feeding cats. They mind when there's 60 cats at their next door neighbor's house. So,
Spraying all over their furniture.
Yeah, coming over
still
into their
breeding.
gardens, and they're continuously breeding.
Yeah.
We've had some good interactions with community members, and once they find out, what are you guys doing? Because we roll up, we bust out a bunch of traps and a cans of tuna. They're like, what is going on? A lot of people will stop and look at us and what we're doing, and then they ask, and we educate them, and then they become, really.
How many people have come to our bus when we have a Welch Day?
Yes.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. They
Oh,
see
can I have a
Welch's big
card?
bus. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
they're like, oh, I have this problem. I didn't know there was anything out there like this.
Absolutely.
And we're like,
Every time.
Yeah,
Every
every
time.
time Welch is out there,
No,
they do stop and they say, I have a cat problem. My neighbor has a cat problem.
I'm a firm believer in that every single person knows somebody with a cat problem. This isn't,
especially in this rural area.
Yes.
well, and cats don't discriminate. They hang out in fancy neighborhoods. They hang out in not so fancy neighborhoods. They don't
We've
care
seen it
how
all.
old you are.
And it's everywhere. It could be
Yes.
the vet tech at the animal hospital. It could be the
This is so
cashier
true.
at Harris Teeter. It could be the lady that I stopped
many-
to talk with at the gas station.
How many
It's-
vet techs
How many vet techs?
have we gone to? And I'm like,
Yeah.
How many vet techs?
how many vet techs?
I don't think people put regular house cats in the same category as
Agreed.
outside cats.
Agreed.
Yes.
And we do.
Yes.
We make sure that, every cat, friendly or not, that they get the care they need.
They do, whether or not they can rub up against our legs and ask for scratches. Or
And that's
if they
why
just
ear
watch
tip
us
is so
from the
important.
bushes.
The ear tip is so important.
So important.
If you ever let your cat have access to outside, they need to be ear tipped.
Yeah.
Because queens like us will be rolling up in there trapping your cat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's true. It's true.
And we do not like to bring an already altered cat to clinic.
I know.
So that ear tip saves them and us quite a bit of aggravation.
Well, even these people, when these cats show up, they don't know, and we have that indicator like, is there an ear tip? Well, if it's not, it's an assumption that
I've been noticing because a lot of people will talk about their cat problem in like a WhatsApp group. I have free kittens. I have cats outside. I don't know what to do. The shelter says they'll euthanize them. We see the gambit of problems. And then a lot of times I'll post a picture, and I've noticed the community just in the last 3 years. There's a huge change where people will say, oh, that's an ear-tipped cat. Someone will post a picture of, this is a cat that came up to eat on my back porch. I've never seen it before. And people will say, oh, that's an ear-tipped cat. That means somebody has already fixed it. We probably did it. So I always look back and say, is that one of ours? But it's really nice to
It is.
see.
Recently, we all shared the same post where somebody said, I'm at such and such business, and there's a calico in the parking lot. Can somebody help?
Help
It's
somebody.
always somebody. But once you zoomed in on that picture, you saw the ear tip, and community members were saying that cat has a tip. It
Yes.
doesn't need help. It's already been fixed.
And it prefers to
feels
live
so
outside.
good.
Yes.
I think that's a big thing. Like, just to think in 3 years, we have spayed and neutered over. Yeah, we're almost at
Close to
3,000 cats.
Well, then when you think about the amount of kittens we've scooped off the street, our numbers are well over 3,000.
Yeah.
Oh, we're probably, yeah. We're
And
probably
then
close to
if you look bigger, the amount of kittens that can be produced in that year from the amount that we've done, you're into thousands.
hundreds of thousands
Yeah,
of
I-
cats that we've prevented from being born outside and living a really hard life.
I think that's where, when the days get hard and the constant somebody can somebody. And when we look at those numbers and we look at the numbers at the shelter, and we just remember we're 4 moms
Yes.
that all have jobs of caring for our kids, our families, and that we decided to be the somebody and make that impact it makes the hard days easier.
And show people that they can be the somebody too.
Yes.
If you want something, you can make it happen.
I mean, just this summer showed me how much our impact is. Last summer, we had a long wait list because, like you said, we're just 4 moms. We can only do so much. We're doing somewhere close to 100 cats a month, but even then, we still have a wait list because the need is so great in our
Most
county.
properties have 15 to
plus cats.
30 cats.
Yeah, easily. And so last summer it was, oh, we'll just wait. And by the time we got to them, you know, we would have X amount of more kittens born on that property. But it is what it is. This summer, I watched how many people that by the time I got to them on the list, you know, a month after they filled it out, they said, I borrowed a trap, I took it to a clinic, and I got it taken care of. And that was huge. And being able to continue this work.
And the education with it.
Yeah, to be able to continue this work in that fashion and educating the community is super important, I think.
And Giving with Grace is such an awesome organization.
Yeah.
They are all about helping the community and compassion, and they've helped us in the past, and it's been amazing.
It really has been. It has changed the way we are able to help people.
I can't gather, like when we get on the phone with a caregiver, and because Giving with Grace has sponsored cats, and we tell them, you know, we got it covered.
Yeah.
The amount of tears
Yes.
these people shed, because that's another strain for them. They want to get a hold on this, but they do not have the financial means.
Right.
And so the gift that Giving with Grace gives these people,
Absolutely.
and I wish they could see the light in their eyes in each person, because like it just blows my mind.
And it's not that they don't want to contribute, that they don't think they just can't contribute for 30 cats. We've had those caregivers that are like, I can give you a little bit for the first few cats, but the rest of the cats, I don't know where, because these are a lot of times people on a fixed income, and you know, it's or younger people that have a couple of kids and they're just trying to make it in this world.
We had recently helped a lady in Monroe who was, she had 2 kitties on her property and some kittens that she needed to fix, and she was on her schedule. We got out to her mobile home, and she was very kind. She was unable to contribute because came down to, my child needs school supplies. They needed a computer, and they needed some just, you know,
it was the beginning of school, and she needed all the school supplies.
Yeah.
That's right.
And she couldn't contribute to her cats, and because of the generosity of Giving with Grace, we were able to take that off of her plate. And
Yeah, you shouldn't have to choose school supplies
No.
or my cat's health,
No.
you know. So we do try to fill in the gaps between the community really wanting to do what's best
Right.
and not being able to.
Yes.
Right.
And in the past, you know, we did self-fund these
Right.
cats in the county.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
we tried not to think about the cost adding up in the background. But once we were able to come together and say, you know what, let's do big things.
So in 2023, when you guys all started as a group, we faced the same challenges then that we face now, which is multiple cats on a property, fixed incomes, and things like that. But back then, you guys self-funded. You pulled it out of your own pocketbooks to help those people, you know?
We did.
And I think that's amazing. And it took us, you know, I think it was proving the concept of what we do is needed. And then shortly, you know, after about 1.5 years or so, it wasn't sustainable. But then, you know, we became our own 501, and from that point, we were able to pursue grant money and things like that. Help ask the community for donations.
Because do you remember, Dana, us pulling up to that house with the ramp with all the cats we always drove by, and we decided we were just going to knock on the door that day. And she wasn't home, but we walked up and we knocked on the door, and we could hear the cats just and we could see them, and they needed help. They needed help. And we left a note on the door, but we got back in Dana's van, and I remember looking at her going, how are we going to do this?
How are we going to pay for
And I wanted to cry because we had been doing it for so long, and I knew I could.
But right around the corner, we had tackled 3
The
other
whole
cat
street,
pockets,
yeah.
the whole street. And if we didn't get to that,
Yeah.
it was going to spill right
that-
back over.
But
that
we-
is the biggest obstacle, I think, is knowing that we can get out to some properties and we can fund these, but then having to figure out how to fund those and it becoming a problem because
Because there's never
it's
ending
never
cats.
it never ends. If you leave one female.
One female, it starts
one
all over.
loose end, it just starts right back up.
And when you think about getting $25,000, how much that would help us,
Yeah.
help our community.
Immensely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. $25,000 would make a lot of the obstacles and challenges that we face with the caregivers a non-issue and let us really just get to work. Essentially, it would really just allow us
To focus.
I mean, at this moment right now, if I looked at our list, I could probably find the amount of cats that would cover a $25,000 grant. So it's not a question of, are they out there? We know they're out there. It's just a question of, having the funding for it.
We know what the problem is. We're here to offer solutions, and the funding would help us
Yeah.
get it done.